What is up, guys? NYKia31 here. Hope everyone is alive and well, taking care of themselves. Bringing you a game of NBA Live 14 for this commentary. I'm playing the Bulls Wizards series, or a Bulls Wizard game, and I'm controlling the Washington Wizards, but this video is not about that. Unfortunately, it's not about that. It's not even much about the playoffs. I'd love to talk about the playoffs and what's going on, but unfortunately, this is not, or this past weekend was not a normal run of the mill NBA playoff weekend. And because of that, there is fallout to discuss. And it's all because of, in my opinion, the worst owner in American sports, Mr. Donald Sterling. And I really hate talking about stories like this. I'm no different than anybody else out there. I like my life to be simple. When I'm not out earning a living, I'm either playing sports, I'm watching sports, working out, reading a book, watching cable news, keeping up with politics and current events, whatever. I get enough stress, enough real world troubles in the day to day life that I live in, like anybody else out there who's providing for themselves and or their families. And sports is the escape. Watching sports, talking about sports, playing sports video games, that's the escape. I don't want to worry about who is or who is not gay, who's a racist. I, I hate when that infiltrates the sports world, but every now and then an incident like this does, and it, transcends the sports world and reflects upon real life, everyday society. Other YouTube commentators have done videos on this topic in the past couple of days. Sim F Ball Critic did a good one. The Sim Hangout, hosted by Dazar, and his panel did a hour-long segment on their show regarding this issue, which was really well done. I would encourage all of you guys to, if you have some time, take a moment out to listen to that. This issue runs deep on so many levels. Myself being a black man, I'm sure you can naturally assume what my feelings about the topic are. A guy like that does not belong in this league. He has to be suspended, if not outright banned. I'm not quite sure how much legal power the commissioner has to do that, and he has to be forced out of the league. Period. End of discussion. You cannot have an individual such as that representing your league. Now, anyone who knows anything about Donald Sterling, and some of you guys may not have heard of Donald Sterling until this weekend, which is, fine. I mean, there are lots of owners out there that are nameless, faceless entities, but Sterling has long had a history of being a shady character, and this is not the first time that racism has been attached to his name. He was several years ago involved in a federal housing discrimination lawsuit in which he had to, pay a fine due to it being found that he discriminates on his real estate properties against minorities. Past Clipper players, coaches, and front office people have complained about him. It's been, common knowledge that Sterling has been a racist for quite some time, and it's just it shows you a couple of things. It shows you how much someone's money can blind people and twist their souls. The fact that the NAACP was going to honor this man with a Lifetime Achievement Award, and has honored him in the past, is just appalling beyond words. Because they knew who this guy was. Again, it was no secret in circles that this guy was a racist. But since he's a big-time political donor and they wanted their pockets lined with his cash, they looked the other way. And I'm not going to get into politics here. I'll lead you guys to come to your own conclusions. I feel terrible for Doc Rivers and the players. If you watched the game over this past weekend, it was it was pretty evident that they didn't want to be out there, and apparently there was a rift that some guys did not want to play, and there was a divide in the locker room as to whether to take the court or not. And I completely understand that. I support that, and I would not hold it against anyone on that team if they did not want to play and represent that man. And their play on the court, unfortunately, reflected that inner conflict. I feel really bad for them. I feel bad for the Clipper fan and just everyone involved and who is being affected by this man's actions. It's just unfortunate. The whole thing is just unfortunate. I'm not naive enough to believe that racism is non-existent, that it has been rooted out of us. Racism is a human condition. As long as there are people on this earth who look different, have different skin pigmentations, ethnicities, religions, sexual orientations, you're going to have racism, sexism, homophobia, bigotry. It's going to happen. Now, one of the beautiful things about humanity is our ability to evolve and correct past injustices, recognize injustice, and work to correct it and progress past it. And over the years, racists have rightfully been pushed back into the margins as we've become disgusted by their behavior. And I'm happy to see that the vast majority of people in response to this incident have responded with disgust, disdain, and an attitude of not tolerating Donald Sterling's views and behavior. Now, Donald Sterling has every right to be a racist. He has every right to hold the views that he holds. I just happen to believe that he can't hold those views and be an NBA owner. He can go about his way, run his businesses, and do whatever. Now, I know some people, and Mark Cuban brought up this point the other day as well, some people are holding the view that just because he's a racist, does that give you the right to deprive him of his personal property? Does that give someone the right to say, hey, you can no longer own an NBA team? My opinion, I say yes. I say the NBA is absolutely, or should have the ability to hold their owners accountable for their conduct. Because in this particular case, you're dealing with a guy who's affecting the livelihood of other people. Let's separate the fact that these are millionaires being paid millions to play a game. Let's deal with this strictly from a human level. The man is in a position of authority where he's making decisions on the livelihood and well-being of other people based on their race. That's unacceptable. Throughout our country's history, we've had men and women die to protect our right to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Dr. Martin Luther King dedicated his life and gave his life for his dream of a country where men and women would be judged by the content of their character as opposed to the color of their skin. Your worth as a man or a woman is in what you do and how you do it as opposed to what color you are. And again, I'm not an idealist. I'm not naive. America has had a long and sometimes difficult history when it comes to race. We fought through slavery, we fought through segregation, we fought through the civil rights era, and racism isn't nearly as overt as it was 50, 60, 100 years ago. It still exists. Thankfully, racists are in the minority. Most of us couldn't give a damn about the color of someone's skin. I'm happy to say in my life, the times that I have encountered racism personally have been few and far between. Most people either like or hate NYKF 31 based on the type of person they think NYKF 31 is. And I like to think that I've done the same. That's the way it should be. We don't all have to get along with each other, but we can all treat each other humanely. So, sorry if I sound kind of preachy. That's not my intention at all. But from what I can hear now, it looks like Commissioner Silver has dropped the hammer. I'm kind of keeping track of what's going on and doing this commentary at the same time, and the NBA has conducted a press conference in which, from what I can gather, Silver has banned Sterling from the league and from day-to-day operations with the franchise for life. Good for him. Good for him. I hope that they can find some way to push Sterling out of the league and he can go back to being a pitiful, insignificant, sad old man living out the rest of his days in scorn and ridicule. Talk to you all later. Peace.